once again, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We are going to be talking about the committee put in place by the government of Cameroon to ensure that peace reigns in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. We are talking about the Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Committee. But before that, we are going to be talking about the decision by the Confederation of African Football to withdraw the hosting right of the African Cup of Nations from Cameroon, that is the 2019 AFCON Games. We have been joined tonight by an actor of the civil society, Mr. Davison Deate. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Good evening, Mimefo. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to see you. And only remember that nothing bad can happen to a good woman.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We've had series of reactions as far as this decision by the Confederation of African Football is concerned. The Minister of Communication says that it is injustice on the part of Cameroon and unfair. We had a reaction of Jean-Jacques Ekindi, a former member of parliament in Cameroon, who has qualified it as a ploy on the part, a plot by the Confederation of African Football President and Morocco, as well as other football officials around the world. What do you think as far as this decision is concerned? Do you think that is unfair and an injustice on the part of Cameroon? For Cameroon?
I must say, like all Cameroonians, I'm very disappointed that they have withdrawn it. As to trying to make CAF feel guilty, I don't think so. I think we're well aware of what the conditions were for hosting. We gladly accepted that we would host it, that would fulfill the conditions. At no time did we show any doubt. In fact, we fooled the people of CAF, but more importantly, we fooled ourselves. There was no genuine follow-up and delays. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know if there was any really roadmap with pointers which says that at this date we should have this, at this other date we should have this.
But the government would tell you otherwise, but that the various EMAC projects were on course. There were being the stadia that were supposed to be rehabilitated, works were actually ongoing. Those that were to be constructed, like the Japoma Stadium and others, they were under construction. That is what the government of Cameroon would tell you.
Yes, what I say is they fool themselves, they tell lies, and they believe their own lies. It's just that the evidence wasn't there. They didn't even need people to come from anywhere else to carry out the inspections. They could do it themselves and find out what was going on. We have this culture of always saying everything is all right, everything will be okay, everything will be okay, until at the last minute, boom, nothing is there.
When you talk about the government fooling themselves, are you saying that the Confederation of African Football took the right decision? Is that what you're saying?
I think it's obvious. They did, according to their own given program. They have markers that say at this stage we should have gotten this. This should have been done. The roads are bad. From here to Japoma, you try going through Yala. The hospitals are not there. Even the Stade de Reunification, they're still working on basic parts of the road. And then we are surprised. If you look at the report, and I think it's on the social media, these are pictures, these are no words of people, you will see that in September, when they came inspecting, every single site was still under construction. It's not a miracle. This is not God creating the world in 6 days and just ordering and things happen. It takes time.
You've talked about the state of the roads. Equinox Television has been doing series of reports presenting the situation here in the economic capital, Douala, and across national territory, especially those cities that were expected to host the AFCON competition and some of the matches. Now, are these reasons enough to withdraw the hosting rights from Cameroon when we still have time, like mid next year, 2019, for the various projects to be completed?
I hope these CAF people did not do their inspection in isolation. I'm sure there were Cameroonian representatives on board. I'm sure they were telling them what was happening. When they come into a country to carry out inspections and they are being escorted by military people, they have to clear the road with police vehicles and gendarmes and so on. It doesn't go well. In fact, the only site that doesn't need much doing is the Limbe, which I hosted the women's this thing a few years ago. But then that has another problem, which is that of security.
Security, of course. Tell us how the Anglophone crisis contributed to this. Because one of the major reasons raised by the Confederation of African Football is the problem of insecurity, citing the situation in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. Tell us how the Anglophone crisis actually influenced the decision of CAF.
The Anglophone crisis was a decree by the head of state. Unfortunately, it can decree the attack or the disarming or whatever you call it of the Amber Boys, but they have reacted. Unfortunately, he cannot decree that. He cannot decree that. The decree of attacking the so-called secessionists meant that they went killing people, they went burning villages, but his decree cannot build villages overnight.
You're talking about the committee?
No, not that yet. Just the fact that people have been displaced. They have been displaced in the way they have. They don't have homes, and then now they said, okay, it's okay now. We'll build houses for you. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing at all. And we have been saying, and I said it here with you some time ago, that the problem in the northwest and the southwest is the fact that they deployed the military. That these people are trained to shoot, in spite of what the Minister of Communication said, that the military doesn't shoot. They shoot. They have shot. People have seen them. People have run away from them. They have been seen burning homes. I've not seen pictures where they are comforting people, petting them and say, come.
But the government will say they are there for security purposes.
They say anything. They say anything. It's not true. We are on the ground. We live in these parts of the country. I haven't gone to Bamenda for 6 months. And I don't know myself to be a coward. But to wait is
now, this the National Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Committee put in place by the government to ensure that those who are the weapon holders, precisely the pro-independence fighters, should actually lay down their arms and get themselves reintegrated into the society. What is your take on this decision by the President of the Republic?
The Frenchman says, le ridicule ne tue pas. This is a non-starter. It's dead on arrival. Who are they disarming? Can they identify them? Can they identify them? What is the group that has come and said, we're fighting, now let's talk? Is the government? Because it's fighting. It's one against the other. Yes, they're the government. They have the right. But they cannot ask the other man to just disarm without any kind of preconditions, without saying this is what is going to happen when you disarm, and in return we will disarm as well. Let them pull out the troops. Let them just pull out the troops. You see, certainly the difference.
when the commission members will be put in place, some of these preconditions might be laid down.
They don't have any authority.
Certainly, but you seem to be very, very pessimistic about this presidential move.
The people who are going to be put in place are zealots. There are people who are going to act even way beyond what the head of state has in mind. They think they've got their own conquered territory. They have come to give orders, and I don't know where to find the people to disarm.
When you're talking about disarmament, because you were talking about an impossibility for the fighters, the pro-independence fighters, laying down their arms, do you think that it could be possible if it was done on both sides? Because you've talked about the necessity for these regions to be demilitarized. Yes. Do you think it can use some fruits if both sides, the weapon holders, as we can put it, actually lay down the arms and withdraw from the two Anglophone regions?
If both sides lay down their arms and attempt something which I know will not happen, gives a day, he said by this day there will be disarmament, and the people in the north and the southwest see trucks of military vehicles carrying the soldiers out this way, it will make a great difference. But the other possibility, the other requirement too, is that a neutral body, not government-appointed officials, should carry out disarmament. If me and you are fighting, and you bring your husband to come and
the problem proper, how could this solve the problem that is existing? It escalated more than 2 years ago. How can laying down arms actually solve this problem? Do you think that is the solution to the problem at hand?
Laying down arms will not solve the problem because, first of all, the government does not believe, does not accept the problems the Anglophones are saying they have.
But do you think the government will be taking such moves on daily basis, creating a bilingualism commission and then the disarmament committee? If there is no problem, if the government is not accepting that there's a problem?
The government is not accepting it.
Maybe not directly, but these commissions are indications that the government knows that there's a problem.
They're just trying things and they hope it works. You're just shooting in the dark and you hope you catch the animal you're trying to shoot. You're not sure, you're not seeing any target, and you're hoping. First of all, this government uses their own people and say they represent the opposition. Why do they not allow, why do they not give their blessing to the AAC3?
AGC3.
AGC, whatever
Anglophone General Conference. Thank you so much.
Why not give them the possibility of choosing their leaders?
Hoping that the conference will finally take place as planned. Thank you so much, Mr. Davidson Diate, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to have you some other time again.
Thank
you so much.
I really hope this problem gets solved soon.
Thank you.
People are suffering.
Thank you to our viewers. It was equally a pleasure having